Joo.
Anna-Stiina.
Joo.
Pystytkö sä lähettämään Lauralle sen Anna Kuuselan linkin, että Laura pystyisi siihen mukaan?
Ohjelma alkaa kohta.
Joo.
No niin, ohjelma alkaa kohta.
Kuva valmista. Heti kun pyörii. Welcome to webinar of Mobility Launchpad. Today we learn and discuss about self-confidence and networks in entrepreneurship. My name is Raimo Tengvall. I'm project manager of Forum Virium Helsinki, City of Helsinki Innovation Company. I'm running a project called Mobility Launchpad, which is to create business for smart mobility and from smart mobility, and it's funded by European Regional Development Fund and Helsinki-Uusimaa Regional Council, and it focuses on startups and other growth-minded companies from Helsinki-Uusimaa region. The project is also known as Jätkäsaari Smart Mobility, which means that the area of Jätkäsaari and Ruoholahti here in Helsinki can be used for real-life testing for new solutions. The project partner here on the project is Metropolia University of Applied Sciences, and Anna-Stina Tähkävuori from there has been the one really organizing this event, together with Heidi Heinonen from Forum Virium Helsinki and project Carbon Neutral Drone Services in southern Finland. We are also part of bigger testbed, Jätkäsaari Mobility Lab, which is coordinated by the City of Helsinki. And the place we are now here with the speakers is called Urban 3, and this is a new co-working and event and showroom space for smart city solutions and many ecosystems here at Startup Campus Maria 01 in Helsinki. And even though here the background is from a mobility project, we're not focusing, we're not forcing you to do business on mobility only, but also other startups and entrepreneurs are welcome, of course. But if you're planning something that is related to mobility, I hope you give us some kind of a sign that we can discuss and help you more in mobility business. And as this is a publicly funded project, all of our help is for free to you. Practical things for this webinar. This webinar is recorded in YouTube, and it can be, of course, watched later on there. And the presentations are shared afterwards for you who are attending you now live. And we have a combination of YouTube and Zoom here in use. And you've got the both links in the email you got when you're signed in and on get just before here. And YouTube has a better audio and video quality, so please use that for this webinar, and then Zoom for the later on. And Zoom is better for questions and workshop that we'll have later on, so you can open that already for the questions, but we can now go to the speakers. Laura Tarkka is an engineer who quickly realized in the start of her career that it's maybe his calling is other than technology. And during her career for more than 25 years, Laura has worked in several different industries. And for past 6 years, she's been the CEO of luxury hotel chain Camp Collection Hotels. And now Laura will start as the CEO of Gigantti. And in addition to day job, Laura has several board positions and a family at home and 3 kids. And Laura is also a passionate yogi, reader, and networker. Hey, please welcome Laura.
Thank you. Hello all, good afternoon. Happy Halloween Friday. So, just get myself started. I guess you can see the headline. This is quite daring even to me. Dare to lead, courage to grab. In some formats, I was asked to share my life story, but in a way, I will be more talking about my career and my exactly the past 6 years that I was with Camp, because I think that actually combines a lot of things that I've learned. Even though I got quite a proper introduction just now, but few things that was really not mentioned. So, okay, if you've been working for 25 years, that means that you're actually quite old. I'm 50, and I'm gradually getting over that part, but still hurts me. I've got two degrees actually. So I'm an engineer, but then also I've done an industrial analyst or the financial analyst degree, CFA here in Helsinki. I have way too many board positions for the time being, but then also I'm an angel investor. So I have some experience of startups. I know the pain and struggle, but I also know the great atmosphere that is there. So that's a good thing. My key guiding line has been that I'm very curious. I've been always curious, and especially about people. And that's actually what sort of, when I realized that rather than working with the machines and so forth, I wanted to do something else. Okay, then I ended up being with the finance, which meant that I spent best years of my life working with the Excel and PowerPoint. But anyway, the point is that the bread and butter has always been the people, and that's the most important part. I have a motto: always assume the best of others' intentions. And I'm a true believer that world is kind and people are good. There are some pictures on the side map showing what I do. So as I said, I'm a yogi. I'm actually a qualified yoga instructor. I have a family, which is very dear to me. We live in Lauttasaari. And this year I challenged myself that I will read 100 books, okay? As I've been now 4 months off work, I've been able to complete that faster than when the year ended. And that has been super helpful. I strongly recommend listening. There are some great audiobooks and great books all along, both fiction and non-fiction books. I lived abroad. I lived as a high school student. I lived in the United States. Then later on, I also completed some of my studies in Paris. And then with the family, we've lived in Stockholm. So that has also left a mark on me and on my behavior, because I've been dealing with other sort of cultures. And at the bottom of the page, you can see some of the companies that I worked for. And I think that the reason that I've been, we've been living in the same house for 20 years. I've had the same husband for 28 years. But the point is that I've been changing jobs quite rapidly. And that's because of that I've been, being curious, and I've been also, grabbing the challenges that I've been provided. Of course, not all of them, but quite a few of them. Sometimes it's been super hard. Sometimes it has been easy, but I've never regretted a day. But let's look a little bit further. This is also a very familiar picture to you, the iceberg illusion. This is not just for individuals as such, but I think this more applies also for the companies, because there's so much work that needs to be done before anything shows off. And I think this is the crucial part is, and I think thanks also for this spring, this COVID spring that we've had, all the things that are below the waterline have been more visible. And I think that is a very, we are not humans unless we have it all. So I think that is also a reminder for us all. But I also think that these things, doing the things that you have on the blue, of course, you would not be anything without these things. But for me, it has been really these things. And I actually asked my husband, because I've been doing quite a few speeches during these weeks, so I actually asked him that maybe he could do the next one. And he said, I would only be telling people that you work too much. So that would be the case. But the thing is that I never considered, of course it has been work, and sometimes it has been super, super hard. But the challenges have provided also the sort of the spice for the work. And that has been very rewarding. But hey, let's go to camp. So what is Camp Collection Hotels? Of course, some of you, if there are some Finns on the line, you might know. If you're abroad, then this says nothing to you. But this is a hotel chain that was sort of set it up 2014 when I also joined the company. It ended up being 10 hotels. It was only 5 in the beginning. We had 70 restaurants, bars, lounges, 2 spas, and all in the great Helsinki area. We were only focusing on the sort of like a upper upscale luxury market. We grew our revenue from 30 million to 90 million in 5 years. Half of the turnover, 60% of the turnover comes from the room sales, and then 40% of the restaurants, bars, spas, and the other activities. At the end of the journey, we employed over 600 people. And actually, the thing here is that we grew very rapidly. The point is that our owner was a private equity owner, so also in that way, the true investor background was there to bear with. And during those 5 years, not we did only triple the sales, but we also quadrupled the net profitability, and that made it us available for the sale of the company. So we sold this to a major hotel player last year. COVID hit us really, really hard, but I think the company will survive, and the survival is crucial because we've been really focusing. We were really focusing on the culture. And there is the old saying that culture is strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But to me, that has always been the case, and the culture has been very vital. If we look at how it's driven, of course, we all as entrepreneurs, I also consider myself as an entrepreneur, we live from the returning guests. And the customer experience is then the key. But we know that the customer experience comes from the employee experience. And this is something that we were first really focusing on, getting the employees, because I'm a believer that if employees are happy, you will have happy customers. But employees are happy if the company culture is right. But the key question then is that how do you know that the company culture is right? And that's why, that is the trickiest part. And this is where we spend the most of the time. Normally a cultural transition takes 4 years. But in our case, and I mean that's if you're successful all the time, but I guess nobody's successful all the time. But for us it was fail fast, but we actually just didn't carry on. We kept on improving. And that's the key point. I think, you know, if you never make mistakes, you either don't do enough or you don't notice the mistakes. But in my world, there really is, of course, there are mistakes, but mistakes are mistakes only if you don't learn from them. And the key thing there is that we expect always things to go well. But the point is that if we have time to stop when the things didn't go well, I think that's when we learn the most. We did the journey starting with values, vision and mission. We did a strategy, measured the customer engagement, recruited new GMs for all the hotels, studied heavily on the meaningfulness of the employees, significance and satisfaction. And we improved those scores. And with the improvement of those scores, I think those were the enabler for our turnover to grow. And then we were able to sell the company. But of course, then COVID hit us. But the key thing, I mean, these are, you know, you can read these on the textbooks, but I think how it really turned out and what was the best thing for us was that we focused heavily on the communication. I personally wrote, you know, in the beginning, it was just sort of like it happened once, and then I wrote an email, a letter to all our employees once a month. Okay, that might not seem a lot, and I know a lot of guys do a great, you know, video blogs and all these things, but for us, the letter was great because that was printed at the back offices of all the hotels. And everybody, you know, hotels are open 24/7, so everybody during their lunch and coffee breaks could read that. We had an once a month session with all the managers where we shared all the important things. And I was not the one speaking, actually all the rest of the team members were speaking, and those things were only 6 minutes long. So after every 6 minutes there was a new thing. And so everybody could sort of get a glimpse of what was interesting and ongoing, but then again there was another one, so you wouldn't get bored with all the presentations. Like my presentation today is 20 minutes and that's way too long, I should have squeezed it for 6 minutes. But key thing was also that we actually squeezed the management team. At the end our management team was only 3 people and myself. And that actually, what was best was that the areas were broad enough and then people took a great responsibility. And this was really kind of like we were just discussing with the next presenter, Päivi, before I jumped to the stage, that it's super crucial to have the team. The team is the most vital part because nobody succeeds on their own. And that's why the great team members, and you know, you need to have the good feeling. You don't need to, you know, you need to like them, you need to respect them, but you don't need to have to agree with them all the time. And that's the key point, that with the, you know, if there is no friction, nothing happens. Only when people start to get mad and angry, then there is, you know, something going on. But I'm sure you guys, if you're in the startup world, you know this by now. But I still emphasize you to hold on that on the corporate world. But also then we did quite a bit of communication externally, because that's also very important for the internal communication. So my focus was having 60%, 50%, you know, something out there on the social media, on the other more traditional medias, and the 50% of the communication happened only internally, even though nowadays there is no really, you know, internal, external communication. But during the last 6 months, our company culture was really tested. I need to go through 4 rounds of cooperation negotiations. Almost all people were temporarily laid off, some permanently also. And we kept the communication ongoing. The letter I used to write once a month, I started writing it once a week. We published on our private, if there is no such thing as private Facebook webpage for employees, because employees were laid off. They couldn't get access. And then I started getting messages. They started replying to me and they wanted to contribute because they wanted to focus on that. And then I knew that we had done something wrong. No, not wrong, but right, sorry. And the key point to me is that I left the company 4 months ago, and I can still see the company live. And that is a true test. When the leader leaves the company, if the culture is still there and they make great things happen, I think that is the key point. And that's why I summarize it so that you, as a business entrepreneurs, you need to be active. I also just suggest you that even you would have a small company, you would set up a board, because board is super vital for the leaders. You need to have the vision, values, and the risk-taking and stamina, but don't lose your creativity. Get the content right. Talk about the things, communicate, over-communicate, because there is a study that things need to be repeated 17 times, then somebody remembers. Once you get bored with the stuff that you talk about, then somebody might have heard about it. So keep communicating, keep talking about it. But the key thing really is the employees. It's all about people. It's all about engagement, happiness, feeling meaningful, living the mission, and if you have purpose, living that, and then it goes back. Then the board will be happy, then the owners will be happy, and this will also, then the customers will be happy. So to me, satisfaction is a rating, but loyalty really is the brand. And that's, I think, whether whatever you do, that is the cool thing. Then the question why I jumped to Gigantti. I'm asked about this every single time, and of course, once again, if there are somebody coming from abroad listening to this, nobody knows even what Gigantti is. It's home good electronics appliances. And why did I go there? First of all, of course, they called me, but it was not that obvious. The key point was me that if we look at the structure, the headline for this thing was that courage to grab. I realized that for me, sort of understanding this COVID situation better is the thing that I need to be working. Not the board positions and not just the reading is enough. Wants to be really active on a life. This is a new challenge for me. So now, for the next, I don't know how many years, hopefully quite many, I will be doing that, and I'm sure I'll be learning a lot. My key learning so far is that balance the culture and strategy, have a common goal. Focus on teams. The teamwork is crucial. We've all read about this, but this, I can't overemphasize this. Clarity in communication. I think that is then the clarity will bring the conflict, because once people understand truly, then the conflict follows, and that is good. That actually creates action and progress. And as said, mistakes are mistakes only if you don't learn from them. But most important thing is enjoy the ride. Whatever you do, seek for meaning and purpose, and be passionate and grateful. To me, happiness is not a goal. It's a byproduct of life well lived. And I want to leave you with this one. If you treat people like they make a difference to your company, they will, because they are the most important thing. Thanks. Did I get any questions?
Not yet.
It was so fast.
I think we're we. By the way, so sorry to the viewers. I think in the beginning, I think your voice was really audible, which is good.
Okay.
But my.
So you need to repeat yourself.
My voice just disappeared somewhere. Maybe there's a God somewhere. Just said to me that hey. But hey, we had the problem, but luckily, and the viewers got the a making of track before this all things started. Maybe some kind of question for you could be that when you see someone who is like maybe a young student and just thinking of that. Is that okay? That people may not understand their what they are good at and what not. So how to find what you're good at and not, because some people do that when they're 50 something or that.
Yeah.
How could you make it earlier? That
tough question, but of course, I mean. I think we also live in the continuous feedback world. I think feedback as such is, getting, you get it everywhere, whether it's good or bad. That's one thing. But I think for me, the key has always been that, regardless if you're not super, super good, if you really enjoy doing it and you do it all the time, the practice makes a master. That's a saying, and I think that is a thing. But if it's kind of like if you don't get any results, if you don't get any positive feedback, then you might start to do some soul searching and go back and study. But that is a really difficult question, because also when you're young you might have several interests, or then you might have no interest at all, but you just need to do something. So that is, I think, the key point for me is that for my first job was that I got 2 offers, and that was like plenty, because that was a depression, early 90s when I was starting to work. And the reason why I chose the company I chose, because it was closer to work. The other one I could walk there, and the other one I would have needed to take a car. And then if I would have taken the car, that was Neles, and so I probably would be in a tech company now. But the other one was finance, and that's why I started my finance career. So don't be too hard on yourself. It will all work out. Yeah. I think that is a key point.
Yeah. Just do.
Just do it, exactly. That is the thing.
Yes. Do we have any other questions now? Maybe we'll thank you.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the speakers. Now, Päivi, or you will be speech in, right?
Yes. Yeah, I will speak Päivi in. Yeah, because our next
Se aikataulu. Mikä se olisi? Miksi sä kate? Miksi sulla on mahdollisuus myös siihen, että
raise from family-run businesses to Nasdaq-listed companies, corporates in all continents. And so probably we'll hear something about the leap of faith, like jumping from a good job to unknown entrepreneurship. And yeah, that is Päivi next. Yeah, so when you're ready, please welcome Päivi. And yeah, and if you're there in Zoom, I think you might be better off with YouTube. So jump there, please. Hey, welcome, Päivi.
Thank you so much. And
to be here. So can you hear me? Good. Okay, so my name is Päivi Kangasmäki, and I'm CIO and founder of RiskRate. And if you have any questions during the pitch, so I think, or is it afterwards? Afterwards, okay. So it's time we had good time to answer any questions you might have. So hope you enjoy. I just I'm telling our story and how we came on this cash forecasting. And if you don't know anything about cash forecasting or finance, I try to make and pitch this very clearly. All right, so one more thing. I'm Mac user, so I hope that I can use this PC, but hey, this is a post doc on my door. So in 2000, and was it 16 or 17, so I was serving before that, so markets, and this is, I was group head of the treasury in Suominen, and this is my door at that headquarter. So it was a turnaround, and I had an idea to become an entrepreneur. And after I finished my work, I somehow find courage to do it. So I don't know, maybe because I didn't know enough how to get started with. But then I left this post doc on my door and closed one door in my life and started from the scratch again. So it wasn't easy because of that experience. It was more than 20 years in corporates and so on. So the whole thinking, it was really, really different than to be an entrepreneur. And I, opposite to Laura, who told that technology is not her thing. So I think that I was more interested to learn on technology, but I didn't have any background. So I only had the problem which was related on this cash forecasting. We can take a look a bit later. What is that? So I started to work and find people and knocked very, very many doors. And finally, for some reason, I don't know if it's I was so lucky that I met these guys, so Jussi Pyöre and Andrei Korbulin, and it was summer of 2018. And it was by an accident. So I was pitching the problem, which is related to this cash forecasting in Kotka. And so in that summer, I participated in Kiuas Accelerator program. And Jussi Pyöre, so he was previously founded Eniram. So they did machine learning to marine industry, and they have sold this company to Wärtsilä for 2016 or something. And he was sitting in Jurai, and so we found each other in that summer. And after that, we decided to found RiskRate, and Andrei joined our team from the Kiuas Accelerator. So he's an immigrant, and he came to Kiuas also by accident. So he came from Russia, and he was studying in Lappeenranta, and so we found RiskRate. So how to say? So the team spirit. I'm so lucky because I think that nobody is doing anything by himself or herself. But somehow I'm so happy and blessed that we found each other. So it's great combination. Maybe I have background on cash and finance, and I know the problem, what we are solving. And Jussi has this very, very exceptional background on machine learning and doing an exit on growth or tech company. And Andrei is very, very passionate programmer. So here we get started. And so the problem, what we are solving is, and this was also, I was used so many times in my early life on the same thing, is the cash. And it's a big stress, especially for entrepreneurs, but also on treasuries or family-run companies or anybody in this world. And the problem is that, so it's not only the cash balance, but the key problem is that we don't know, or entrepreneurs don't know how much money they have on the bank account for the next 30 days, like for instance. And right now, how people are doing it, or before RiskRate, how they are doing it, so you have to rely on your gut feeling, or you do financial planning on Excels, or you can follow this cash position on bank accounts or so. And it's really keep awake at nights. And the problem, it's not outgoing payments, because we know when we need to pay salaries and taxes and so on, but it's incoming cash, because companies are paying differently, and payment behavior changes all the time, and so on. So it's incoming cash, which is the problem. And this is how we solve it. So it means that all the users, entrepreneurs, so they share their customer payment times in a big anonymized database. And this is the network effect. So it means that more data we have on the database, more information we have on the predictions. And it means that each user makes this cash forecasting prediction better. And also one thing, it's the technology. So this is very boring. I know, maybe a very boring slide, but it means that machine learning, so it means it needs data. So this is the way how we are solving this cash prediction. And final slide, I hope I have time for this one. So this is the solution. So the user or anybody who is doing cash forecasting can have it reliable, so you can trust. You can trust that you can trust on your cash forecast. You don't have to do anything. You can predict your customer payment times. And the last thing is the data and data insights. So it means that we can provide metrics using the data. And that's all is based on our combination of machine learning, and programming and my background in this treasuries. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Päivi.
Thank you.
Yeah, it seems that this kinds of big data and forecasting things are really today's thing. Have you seen that which kinds of fields are lacking this kinds of? Okay, you have there when it comes to cash, then it's you. But which kinds of fields in business or life are lacking these kinds of companies at the moment?
Yeah. So we have been talking a lot about that data. It's kind of new gold or oil or whatever, and so I think that there is a lot of data, but it's not the data or it's not the technology. I mean, this machine learning. I think it's more than this. How you find those areas who could do it, and like for instance, so I've seen in many industries, but maybe this financial industry, it's the most familiar with me, and there is a lot of opportunities. Like for instance, you could grant loans, more data or more real-time or dynamic data you have, so you could grant loans. And what we have seen and from our side is that this is one area which is coming for the next in financial industry, like for instance.
Yeah. When you talked about your team, how you found your team, how I guess there might be many people that are entrepreneur-minded and may have good ideas, but themselves. But the team is such an important thing. So
yes.
What would be your tips for finding how to find the good team members and when to know when the team is just the right or when can you stop searching?
So that's a very good question. So it's you are so in the point. So imagine my background with corporate life. It's so different than to being tech entrepreneur or startup or whatsoever. So first thing I can recommend to do it, because if I have able to somehow manage it, so I'm sure that anybody who is hungry or who wants to do it can do it. So maybe it's be active and try to meet as many people as possible, but you can do it on your. It's not possible to do your full-time work, like for instance. So it's more like an accident. But
they just come somewhere from accident.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean that if you are active, so probability, so that increases. So that's how you can. You just trust that you will find them, if you search, and how you know people are right. So there are when we are building or founding company. So there's many things. So not only your competence. I mean that, so that you can do anything. But I think it's more than attitude. So because nobody is perfect, nobody, especially in startup, so we don't have any answers. So it's like black box. You just have to go, or have not only to go, but you have to be very strict. What you do, how you use your hours, or what is the competition and whatsoever. So it's more like attitude and so that you want to people who want to solve the problems very quickly and strictly, because problems everywhere.
Yeah.
Did I answer to your question?
Yeah, and there's more like, I was thinking, is there a question? But it's more like, hey, it's wonderful that you created this. It's more like a feedback here.
Thank you.
But hey, they thank you both of your energy, you and Laura. And it's somehow the energy feels some kind of a thing that when how do you get your energy as an entrepreneur? Huh? Because it seems that being an entrepreneur somehow or being a successful entrepreneur needs some kind of a incoming energy or something. How do you get your incoming energy?
Oh, thank you. If you think, I don't know, it's like, I don't know. I love life, and I know that life is short. So it's just like try to get as much as possible every day and be happy. I mean that because there is always more things to be happy than the negative things. So I don't know, but it's like being around of great people. That's the best, I know. Great customers. It's that's because we have so wonderful customers.
Yeah, that is a good thing. Love
it's
your
really
customers.
but that's really and you can do your work and you can solve the problem which you know it's important and you know something, and it's like the whole and of course family life. So wonderful family, and we have 2 boys and husband and so on. So everything, I think it's combination.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Päivi.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, and everybody have a good weekend and stay in touch.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And now after Päivi, we'll have a little break, some 10 minutes, because now it's the end of the YouTube broadcast and the end of the webinar session, but we'll go to the Zoom. After some around 8 minutes, we'll start in Zoom, and when there's an interactive workshop. So in Zoom, please turn your cameras on as well, so we can all see each other and be interactive. But yeah, we'll start in Zoom in quarter to 2 Finnish time. Yes, so see you then in Zoom.